Hi, this is Fred Black with Chevy K5.com. I'm going to clean and lubricate my auto-locking hubs on my 88 K5. I know a lot of people don't like the auto-locking hubs and replace them with manual hubs. I don't do a lot of off-roading, so I don't need the strength of a manual hub. So I'm going to clean and lubricate these, and I have been doing it incorrectly. I found the correct documentation. What happens with my vehicle, I drive it on the highway a lot, is it'll start feeling almost like the tires are out of balance. And I can stop, go into four-wheel drive and back up. The hubs will unlock and it's fine after that. I've lubricated them a couple of times, cleaned them, and I found articles that said put light oil or engine oil on them, put them back in. That's incorrect. You're supposed to use a special kind of lubricant on the spring that's called a brake, and you're supposed to use transmission fluid on the rest of it. So I'll take pictures as I go through this. I probably won't do a video, and I'll post the documentation that I found. Now I'm going to use Royal Purple because I like all their products. Ultra Performance Grease and Max ATF transmission fluid. This is what you're supposed to use, what was called for in the original service manual. I ordered this off of eBay. It's new old stock, but it's pretty old. It's a special high performance grease, and I found the manufacturer safety data sheet for it and emailed it to the guys at Royal Purple, and they were nice enough to answer that yes, their grease would be a better replacement for it. I also found a couple of the seals that go around here, this part, because one of mine is leaking. New old stock as well on eBay, and I'll put the part numbers in the document as well because there's a couple of part numbers for it. I did not record video while I was disassembling, so you take out the screws in the cover and set it aside, and then you take out this flat piece and it covers the spring clip. That's what it looks like. And then you take some pliers and you pinch together the ends of the spring clip while working the auto locking hub assembly out. It's tricky, but you hold the ends of the spring together and you can work it out, and that's what the spring clip looks like. And then here's the auto locking hub assembly out. And then here it is turned over, and I'm using some pliers, some needle nose pliers, to spread apart the spring retaining clip that holds it together. Okay, to try to show how this goes in and out, this is the second one, and I've worked it out, but it kind of comes out at an angle. You see the spring tabs there go into each side of that vertical plastic piece in there. So when you put it back together, you do the same thing. You kind of work it in like that, and work it down, but don't force it. It'll fit in there and drop in nicely. And if you look here, before I put it in the mineral spirits or paint thinner to clean it, it looked the same. There was no grease in here, and this, in the service manual and in the other document that I found, is where you're supposed to have the high performance grease. And the reason there's not in there is because all the instructions I found the last two times I cleaned this were soak it in some type of cleaner like paint thinner or kerosene to clean everything out, and then coat it with light oil. So that's totally wrong. This band that comes off just slides up over the top, so you can clean that and grease it better with the needle. I think will make it easier on the grease gun. Use an air compressor if you have one to blow out all the paint thinner or cleaner from the assembly. Don't forget to put some grease on this little guy too after you clean it. And use the grease gun or your finger to work grease in around the brake spring. Okay, now this is a different coffee container. We're going to put a little bit of Royal Purple Max ATF transmission fluid in there. Not too much, this stuff's expensive, and we just need to get a little work into this part. So we can just rotate it around and set it up and down and turn it over. Work it into all the parts and then let it drain off before we reassemble it. Now getting this piece back into this piece takes a little practice. You got to let the middle drop down. I can't hold it in two hands and film. You got to let this middle piece drop down, and then you'll see an opening inside of here where there's the white plastic piece, and then the two springs, the tabs that the two spring tabs that stick out on that band brake go into those tabs. So you got to take this piece and kind of work it down in there that way, and then wiggle it back and forth, and then it will drop down. Then you can put the washer on and use your pliers to spread the snap ring and push the back of it down with the screwdriver, and you get it to pop in there. Of course, it'll fly around the room for a few times first. All right, so you kind of have to play around with this thing to get it to where it'll drop down in there. You see how this little groove here is where the snap ring goes, and it's got to go down inside of the hub. So you have to play around turning this piece and this piece till you get it to seat, then pull it back out a little bit, put the snap ring on. Okay, I've got the snap ring on, and you can see I can pull it and it doesn't come out. Now the documentation, it says to run the screws in when you're putting the cover on, and then pull the screws to make sure it's seated. But if you do this first, you don't need to, it's seated. And then you put that little clip in here. So I just got back from a test drive after doing both sides of the front automatic hubs, and it works great. I have a Flowmaster exhaust, so my truck's really loud, so I can't hear the little clink when they engage. But after I put it back into two-wheel drive and back up slowly, I hear them both go clink. So it works great. And I'm hoping where I was missing the grease instructions before, that will solve the problem of the hubs almost like they're semi-engaging or maybe grabbing a little bit. When I'm on the highway at highway speeds, it starts feeling like the wheels are out of balance. That's the reason that I took them apart and cleaned them and lubricated them the last two times, and it would start doing that again. And so I found some better instructions, and that's what I've included here.